Oh, well, there you go. Okay, so my mouse clicked itself, I guess. I don't know how to explain that other than I was blowing these crumbs off, or dusting these crumbs off my mouse pad, and I clicked the record button. Oh, there we go. I guess I'm going to have the confidence to do it now, even though it is 7 in the morning, and I'm not really trying to make an impression right now. I literally just clicked the mouse button accident. Okay, sorry. Seriously. Anyways, let's just get this raw on the roll. Uh, we're gonna make this about the thumbnail of this video, which you saw in the community tab post. Just recently, I made a poem slash song, and about the cool stuff about realizing you're an artist 5+ years into the content you've been doing for a while. Uh, Not a good sign from 2018 and 2023, right? Having to think of that as being like, oh, well, don't worry about my 5 to 26 years of existing. I freaking did that on purpose or an accident. No, it's because you are an artist, Tony. Otto, you are an artist. You're not someone who just journalistically multitask extroverts everything in life and then only ignores the art if it's not relevant to you. But it is. It is relevant to you because you are an artist, Tony. I'm talking to you. Anyways, this video is gonna be about that thumbnail. The one about, well, this is mostly two concepts. Two concepts. Uh, One being time is not two. Is not two. It looks a lot like the percentage symbol, but it's really just two. It's just a colon with a slash in the middle. It looks like a divide and a percentage sign. So it's like weird. It's not like the equal signs with a slash on the side. It's actually that other equal sign. So it's that thumbnail that I probably used for this video already. Time is not two content as. I had to write as in the thumbnail as well because it would be confusing to see that extra dot. Time is not to content as creativity is not to building, and yet it is the standard. So what do I mean by that? Well, 2 minutes of this video, we have and I hate to use the word stigma because stigma is its own stigma. Like how cringe is its own cringe, because everyone has a definition for everything these days. For even the worst possible things that they don't have to have definitions for. What I mean by this idea is that we have a big gambit on the idea of having content be in time if you use time to do things, because I just watched a Dr. Willing podcast episode clip, one of his main clips about, oh, you don't actually have enough time. That's not the cliche anyways. That's not the cliche to talk about. Do we have time? Do we not have time? Are we trying to be ambitious, or are we trying to have a normal life? Why do people think that we have these cliches that aren't cliches in themselves anyways? Like, if you tell people, no, you don't have time, or you do, the do have time isn't the cliche, it's the don't have time. Because people who say you do have time are out of the ordinary, in my opinion. If you think it comes out of the ordinary to want a normal life, you're an idiot. Because everyone does not want to be ambitious. There are only a few people that actually truly want to be ambitious, and that's why we have that's why we have terms like the 1%. Is because it sounds shallow, it sounds stupid, but it's true. It's like there's a certain amount of people who are not awake, and then a certain amount of people who are. And the way that weighs in is that most people aren't awake. Sorry, I had to say it like that. But like, same with the so the ambitious and the normal living, either or being pros and cons. Same with the having time, not having time, and same with even the idea of time and content. It's like there is time and content depending on what you do with it. Now, if you want to save people's time, go ahead, but that's not how I would go about it. When you save people's time, that's a good virtue in itself, but that's not everyone's virtue. It's not everyone's virtue to communicate properly. It's not everyone's virtue to have time saved per content. So when you have time per content, I made this multiple takes on my phone for short 2-minute videos. I couldn't even make this last for some reason, but I made even a deep talk video about this before I kept saying that in those little 2-minute videos. I made a whole deep talk episode about this on season 1. Don't remember which episode it was, like episode 5 or 7 or something like that, or episode 6. I made a video about like, and it was like more editing done to make it boring on purpose. Like it was more video editing, and it was still boring, which is kind of the point. It was like oh, but if you have more length, then obviously it's going to be more good content or more content in those times. No, time is not content. It doesn't matter how boring it is. It doesn't matter how inconceivably weird it is. It's still there for a reason. And if it doesn't match your reasons, there you go. Because it doesn't have to be about your reasons. It's about the reasons inherent to that video, whether it serves an audience or the creator. So there you go. And then there's creativity is not to building. Now, There was someone who once told me creativity builds, not crumbles, and that has traumatized me ever since, obviously, or that it should build, not crumble. But which is a weird gambit on, because I'm not being a good communicator because I'm being creative. It's like, well, that's the idea. It's like, would you want to be building and not crumbling? Again, a lot of this is projected on trauma. So, as I kept saying before, a lot of things, it's not just communication, but with creativity and crumbling, it doesn't have to be just about just communication. Obviously, it could be other things. But the creativity I work with isn't necessarily in the form of destruction. It's more like you have these things that don't have to make sense, but when they do make sense, they're still their own thing. The same thing with the time and content. It's like, just because you can save people's time with the content you use in their wake doesn't mean you have to make that useful in that time. It could be something different that they don't understand yet, and that could be its own thing. That could be its own thing, obviously. Making the time used differently without a way that actually makes it useful right away to the normal society. With creativity and building, just because creativity doesn't directly build doesn't mean it's useless or not creativity in itself. There is forms of creativity I made up before. There are times of creativity I said that you don't. I used to be really bitter about this. I used to tell people you don't know what creativity is, even as an ex cartoonist or an ex claymation animator or ex artist. I still would argue that people don't know what creativity is. They'll say that using Photoshop on Adobe or freaking DaVinci Resolve or freaking these, again, not just communication or laws and rules, but even quality content traumas I have. That comes about when you notice how people make content. And it's like, what even is content? Is it being content with your emotions? No, it's being a content with the via online editing atmosphere platform, YouTube. Yeah, YouTube broadcast yourself kind of stuff. We talk about the 2004, 2005 days right here. And acting like I know what nostalgia is like, and I don't even know what cartooning is like. All those other traumas, all those other projections, you name it. But why would not creativity not be building? Is because there's different forms of creativity that isn't necessarily building. It's like you're not just problem solving. You're not just, again, trying to figure out how to make creative things that are not the norm. They're not always supposed to be the. What makes it even creative is that it is norm. Like, what makes it new? What makes it truly new? There are times where I told myself I don't want to draw hands rest my life, thinking that's only fun perpetual. I wasn't trying to show my metric artist at the time. I think it was Bruce something, one of the older cartoonists, but one of the cool ones was Ed Mentoring at the time for cartooning. One of the first